October 16, 1962. The world as we know it teeters on the edge of oblivion. In the Oval Office, President John F. Kennedy stares at grainy photographs, his face a mask of grim determination. The images before him reveal a terrifying truth. Soviet nuclear missiles, mere miles from American shores. A moment when the world held its breath, waiting to see if tomorrow would come. For 13 days, the fate of humanity would hang in the balance. Two superpowers, locked in an ideological struggle, now faced the ultimate test. Would cooler heads prevail, or would the Cold War turn hot in an instant? The Cuban Missile Crisis. Each passing moment brought those weapons closer to operational status. Kennedy gathered his closest advisors, forming the Executive Committee of the National Security Council. In Moscow, Premier Nikita Khrushchev weighed his options. Would he back down in the face of American resolve? Or push forward, risking everything? In a room thick with tension and cigar smoke, they debated America's response. Millions of Americans huddled around their television set, hearing for the first time the grave danger that lurked just beyond their shores. Civil defense sirens wailed, fallout shelters were stocked, and children practiced duck and cover drills in schools across the country. Soviet submarines, armed with nuclear torpedoes, were depth-charged by American destroyers. The Soviet Union would withdraw its missiles from Cuba if the United States pledged not to invade the island. Secretly, Kennedy also agreed to remove American missiles from Turkey, a concession that would remain hidden for decades. Khrushchev, however, was seen as weak by hardliners in the Kremlin. It showed how close the world could come to destruction, and the delicate balance required to maintain peace in the nuclear age. 13 days when the future of humanity hung by a thread. What if a single misstep had been made? What if communication had broken down? What if cooler heads had not prevailed? Within 2 years, he would be removed from power. And could such a crisis happen again? The Cuban Missile Crisis had ended, but its impact would be felt for generations to come. It stands as a testament to the power of diplomacy and the importance of clear communication between nations. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's future, and we are all mortal. In those 13 days, humanity faced its darkest hour and emerged, shaken but alive, into the light of a new day. In Turkey, U.S. Jupiter missiles stood ready to strike Soviet cities. The world had never been closer to the abyss. The Cold War would continue for decades, but never again would it reach such a fever pitch. The lessons learned in October 1962 would echo through time, a warning to future generations about the terrible consequences of nuclear conflict. The crisis had passed. Humanity had stared into the face of extinction and, through a mixture of resolve and restraint, pulled back from the precipice. A direct hotline was established between Washington and Moscow, ensuring that future crises could be managed more effectively. Both sides realized the terrible power they wielded, and the responsibility that came with it. A moment when humanity stood at the crossroads of history and chose the path of peace. The Cuban Missile Crisis. A chilling reminder of how close we came to the unthinkable, and a powerful lesson in the importance of diplomacy, restraint, and the shared destiny of all mankind. In the aftermath of World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as global titans, their opposing ideologies setting the stage for decades of tension. Each communication could be the one to tip the scales toward war or peace. U.S. forces were placed on DEFCON 2, the highest alert level short of nuclear war. As the Iron Curtain descended across Europe, a new battleground emerged in the Caribbean. Cuba, a small island nation just 90 miles from Florida, became the epicenter of this conflict, or a naval blockade to prevent further Soviet shipment. U.S. Navy ships formed a ring of steel around the island, ready to intercept any Soviet vessel attempting to breach the blockade. The world watched and waited, wondering if the next ship to approach would spark a war that could end civilization. In 1959, Fidel Castro's revolutionary forces overthrew the U.S.-backed government, aligning Cuba with the Soviet Union. The stage was set for a confrontation that would bring the world to the brink of annihilation. President Kennedy, still reeling from the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, now faced his greatest challenge. On October 14, 1962, a U-2 spy plane captured shocking images over Cuban soil. Soviet missiles, capable of striking deep into American territory, were being assembled under the cover of jungle canopies. The clock was ticking. What would you do, faced with such a threat? An airstrike to destroy the missiles? A full-scale invasion of Cuba? Kennedy chose a middle path. A quarantine of Cuba. As American warships patrolled the Atlantic, Soviet technicians raced to complete the missile sites. On October 22, Kennedy addressed the nation. The next days were a feverish exchange of letters and ultimatums between Washington and Moscow. October 27th, Black Saturday. A US U-2 plane was shot down over Cuba, its pilot killed. Then, a glimmer of hope. Khrushchev sent a message to Kennedy, offering a way out. On October 28th, Khrushchev announced on Radio Moscow that the Soviet missiles would be dismantled and removed from Cuba. The aftermath of those 13 days would reshape the Cold War. Kennedy emerged as a skilled crisis manager, his popularity soaring. The Cuban Missile Crisis left an indelible mark on the psyche of a generation. 13 days that changed everything. As we look back on this pivotal moment in history, we're left to wonder, how close did we truly come to the end? The Cuban Missile Crisis serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of nuclear brinkmanship. The world had changed. As the last Soviet ship steamed away from Cuba, carrying its deadly cargo back across the Atlantic, the world breathed a collective sigh of relief. In the words of President Kennedy, spoken in the aftermath of the crisis, in the final analysis, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet. 13 days that nearly ended the world.